Hey guys, how are you today? I am in Tokyo. I am in Meiji Jingu Temple. I'm gonna walk from the station of Harajuku to the temple itself. And while I walk there, I want to talk a bit about a few things I have noticed while traveling. Now, the kind of travel that I do, I don't actually go to one place for a short time. I tend to travel for a long time. I visit a new place for maybe 2 weeks to 1 month, or even more if I actually enjoy it. So this kind of travel has a lot of advantages and a lot of disadvantages. And today I'm going to talk about the advantages that you get while doing this kind of travel. It's not all good. There are good things and bad things about everything in life basically. But now I want to talk about the things that you can benefit while you travel in this way. But before I do that, check out the scenery here. It's basically a hilltop, a forest inside the city in Tokyo. And by the way, that is called a torii gate. It's an entrance to a shrine. Now keep in mind, it's a shrine, not a temple. Shrines are for the Shinto religion, native to Japan. Temples are usually Buddhist temples. So make sure you make that distinction. Now, when you walk through a torii gate, when you go to a shrine, make sure you walk to the side, right? The center is for the gods to pass through, and we as mortals, we will walk to the side of the gate or avoid the gate altogether, right? So very, very important distinction. In any case, so that's a little aside for you. But so today, let's talk about the benefits of long-term travel. Now, the first one is obviously all the cliches that you get with travel, right? You already know this. Go to beautiful places, try new food, try different beaches, different mountainsides if you're into hiking, all that stuff, which is really good. I do enjoy that quite a lot. And whenever I have the chance, I do that. However, I do travel quite extensively for long periods of time, so that means pretty much at any point I can do that, right? So that is one of the benefits of this long-term travel, is that you can enjoy a new culture, a new place, a new type of food that you haven't tried, a new beautiful area that you haven't tried, a tourist hotspot that you haven't tried. And if you do what I do, if you are working while you're traveling, you can of course work in all these beautiful places. Now of course sometimes you need the proper environment to do your work. I'm not denying that. It's not always working on a beach or working in a cafe near a temple. Sometimes it's that, but not always. So that is the first benefit, all the cliches that you hear, the food, the places, and all that. Traveling, working while traveling is, in my opinion, one of the best things that you can do. Now, the second one is that you can basically learn a new skill whenever you feel like, whenever you are in the mood for it. Like for instance, now I'm in Japan for quite a long time, for at least 6 months, maybe a bit more, and I am learning Japanese. I'm studying Japanese in a school here in Tokyo, and it's from my point of view, it's a great way to acquire a new skill, especially a language skill that you need to practice quite a lot. And Japanese is quite I wouldn't say niche, because there's a lot of people that speak Japanese, but only in Japan, right? You have a few communities outside, but usually they don't really speak a lot of Japanese. You won't find too many Japanese speakers abroad. So that is one of the advantages, that you can try these different random skills that you feel like learning. So for instance, I have a friend who's doing who's learning skydiving, or friends who are learning diving, right? You can always go to let's say Philippines in Cebu, or Bali, or Thailand, or many places around the world, in Europe as well, quite a few, and you can learn diving if you're into that, or pretty much any skill that you like. You can find the best place for that and just travel there, stay there for a month or 2 or 3. You have the flexibility to do that if you choose. So these are barrels of sake, according to the sign posted next to them. And they are basically offerings that the temple, through its caretakers, offers to the gods every year. And on this side, so that's the sake, and on this side is Bourgogne wine, offered by France, I think. Maybe during the time of the Meiji era, the Meiji Restoration, which is a very important era here in Japan, where the country was basically rebuilt from agricultural to a industrial society. So basically completely changed the culture and society there. Anyway, so moving on to the next point, one of the benefits of long-term travel is that you can actually experience a culture in a very deep way. Usually if you travel for a few days to go to the seaside or to visit a temple or a monument, a week, it's not really enough to get to know the place and the culture and the people, right? So in this way, where you go and travel to some place for a longer period of time, 2 weeks, 1 month, 2 months, 6 months, like I do here in Japan, you really get to experience a deeper, let's say, understanding of the culture and the habits of the people. And I can tell you that so many different cultures around the world do things in such a different way that you would be really surprised. So it is basically adopting a different point of view, a different way of doing things, and you do take part of the spirit of the culture. You do take it with you to some extent, right? So it kind of changes you a little bit and makes you kind of appreciate that different people do things in different ways. So Japanese people do things in a different way from Europeans, for instance. As a great generalization, obviously there are subtleties there, but yeah, you do get to understand more about why people are the way they are and what they do and their customs and their habits and so on. So that is very interesting. Now, the I think third or fourth point there, leading on from that, is that you do get to know the people in a certain place. If you're there for a short time, maybe you meet someone in a bar or for a short time, or just go out and you know, in an afternoon and talk to somebody in a cafe. But here, if you do travel for a long time, you get to have a, let's say, a slightly deeper relationship. Obviously it's not a year-long relationship like you would have if you stay in one place, but I have made and maintained friendships for a long time just by traveling to one place for a few months, meeting the people, and in some way kind of influencing them, changing their lives as well, because I give them an idea of how they can do what I like to do. If they want, if what I do, if they like it, then sometimes they kind of adopt that mindset as well. So that is a really interesting way. They have a really powerful, let's say, impact on me, and I sometimes have an impact on them as well. So very, very interesting. And it's one of the benefits of traveling for a long time is that you get to know people from different parts of the world in a deeper way, let's say. Now, another important point that I haven't seen mentioned pretty much anywhere, but for me it's one of the main reasons that I travel for as long as I do. And to put it simply, it makes life memorable. I used to work full-time in an office for a long time, and days were very similar, they were basically the same. Every day you get up in the morning, you go to work, you stay there for 8-9 hours, you come back home, then you go to sleep, and then you repeat, right? Very, very boring. I don't remember, there's years of my life I don't remember, simply because of this repeat of the same day over and over again, and that tends to be really boring. However, when I started to travel, when I started to experience new things, that makes an emotional impact on you pretty much anywhere you go. So I can remember traveling around Indonesia. I went to Yogyakarta and visited some temples. I can remember how I felt those moments when I was traveling. I went to Bali, I went to Thailand, I went to so many places around Southeast Asia. I went to China. I'm in Japan now, and there's a lot of experiences and different emotions, both good and bad here, but what I can tell you is that you will remember these moments because they have an emotional significance on you, so those are imprinted. And I can tell you more about what happened to me in the last 3 years since I've been traveling, 4 years now since I've been traveling, than had happened to me in the 10 years previous to that, right? So very, very important benefit, I would say. It's not all good, like I said. Sometimes there's negativity to that, negative feelings, but overall it's a huge, huge positive benefit. I absolutely love this part, that I can experience a lot more things in a shorter time doing this travel and working while traveling in different places and staying there for a long time. A very, very important benefit. Okay, so the last point I have for you today on my list is the fact that long-term travel makes you a better problem solver. Okay, so that simply means that there's a lot of issues that would come up. There's really very little time to get complacent and get too comfortable. There's always an issue from the mundane, where you arrive in a new place, new city, you have no idea where to get your food, where to get your water, obviously restaurants and stuff, but where's the supermarket nearby where you're staying. So that's the more mundane, but bigger picture is how do you make money on your own without having somebody tell you what to do? Is that better? Is that worse? Are you making more? Are you making less? Obviously at the beginning you're going to be making a lot less. How do you go out? How do you meet people in a new place that you've never been to before, and you don't know the people, maybe you don't speak the language? How do you get around? How do you find your way? Where are you going to work? So all these issues do come up quite regularly for me, and you do get used to solving these problems by yourself, and that makes you problem solver. That makes you more capable of finding solutions to the issues that you're having, and more, let's say, resistant to all the problems that might come up in your life. And obviously life is never easy, it's always going to be problems, so that makes you let's say more stronger, right? Stronger more capable of fixing your issues that come up in your life. So these are the off the top of my head, these are the benefits that I found for traveling, for long-term travel, the way I do it. Maybe you have others, maybe you agree with some of them, maybe you don't. Let me know what you think, and thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.